Thank you very much. Can you guys hear me okay? All right, that was a wonderful introduction. It's so funny because this is one of the challenges of like trying to do something well. It's like you go somewhere and you're like, okay, I'm supposed to do this thing and it's gonna be amazing. I'm gonna give it my best shot. And then what winds up happening is if you do a reasonably good job, people expect you to do a reasonably good job again. And it's just like, oh, well, what if I'm tired, or what if my legs hurt on my knees, or whatever. And I get up here and I'm just like, hello, everyone. This is Derrick Ashong. It's a pleasure to be here with you, and hoping to leave you with some inspiring words today. And then they're going to be like, what the hell happened to Derrick? So, you figure sometimes succeeding can be a little bit of a challenge, because then success becomes the next expectation. And that is hard to fulfill, to try to excel in whatever it is that you do every time. You ask any athlete, you ask any artist, you ask an administrator, somebody who is doing something at a high level where people are looking at them, and you have successes, and you're expected to repeat those successes. Sometimes it's easier to overcome a deficit than to sustain success. It's because if I stay true to the process of always striving to do the best I can, then I have succeeded before I've begun. Then when we talk about art as a catalyst for change, that I think it is in fact a fundamental ingredient. And when we would spend this family time together, my mom would sing to us all the time. And I remember one song in particular that she always used to sing, which said, and I love to share this with people because it's really illustrative of how I was raised and what I was taught to believe as a kid. My mother as a kid used to sing to me, Yengera assassini, Eya bodin din maye, Mojana nananum shegun yadito womaye, Edumene wunsusu, Seyebe ibiatiasu, Niem dientra son konton granin yo pesemin kuminya. Edieng bremun domi asaseun do atum se. Omano sebeye you, omano serenye you. Eya se na ose, oman fu bra betre. Omano sebeye you, omano serenye you. Yes, and now say, oh, man, for bra betre. Yengera assassini. This is our land. It is a great treasure that was bought for us with the blood of our ancestors. It is now time for you and I to do our part for our motherland. Let us not let selfishness or lack of love of country come between us. Whether this land will succeed, whether this land will fail, the life of the people will show. Why are we mad? Because we don't really know what to do. The world is changing around us. We used to have good manufacturing jobs. The auto industry is the underpinning of the entire American middle class, arguably. Not just by the building of cars, but the steel mills and the rubber and all the other ancillary business that helped to create and maintain a system that had real people working to create. And all those good jobs have gone away. Our economists to give, sort of venture to say that we need about, 12 million jobs to fill our current economic hole. The Chinese have got to create about 1 million jobs a month just to stay in parity. Everyone's like, oh my God, the Asian tiger is jumping and running and roaring and dragging and and here they're coming for us. These guys have got a population that, because of the one-child law, is primarily young and male. What happens when you get a whole bunch of young men together who can't find women and can't get a job? I'll be the first one raising hell. It'll be more than throw the bums out, right? So they've got their own serious and significant issues that they've got to deal and wrestle with. Nobody there is coming to try to get us. We need to be responsible for what we're doing here today. And the difficult challenge we face is that you can get somebody who will work harder and longer, who is better educated and will work for less in Bangalore than in Boston or Baltimore. Therefore, a bunch of the jobs that went away will never be coming back, no matter what your favorite neighborhood politician would like to say. See, it's much more difficult to talk about the real problems than to talk about the cute palliatives that will get you elected. Where's the hope? I mean, what are you going to do? If all those good jobs are gone away, how are we going to work? How are we going to thrive? How are we going to succeed? How are we going to build a new generation? How are we going to change our society? Well, arguably, in the same way we always have. We've got to remember that our country has always done the hard thing. It is what has made this nation great. It is the hard things that separate you from everyone else. And the new hard thing is, how do you raise up a generation of young Americans who can compete in a global marketplace with the rest of the world that is also coming out of poverty? It is by looking at how we foment and create and cultivate a culture of innovation in our country. We don't need to be looking at the past. We need to be creating the industries of the future. And that is going to require a different level of training for our young people to think and be creative, right? Because nobody is quite sure what the industry of the future will be. But we know that it will not be the industry of the past because it never, ever has been. How do you position yourself to be where things should be? The truth is, our kids are less well prepared today than they have been in the past. And that is a problem. And I realize that, we've had this struggle in the arts community to try to explain the relevance of what we do to the broader society. Nobody knows what it is to live in a society without art. But when it comes time and you've got a budget crisis and you don't know what to do and the funding is not there, what's the first thing you cut? The arts. Because what does it matter? Everybody wants to cut art first, but people need it. Creativity is something that formulates the very basis of our humanity. It is what has led us to evolve to be humans. I don't want to get into argument about evolution. I'm just going to put that out there. That for us to be who we are today, we had to be creative. And that when you've got a nation that is in a state of flux, we are at a moment of change. Something has got to give. Something has got to shift. That I would argue that the people in this room, the people who provide an education in the arts, the people who are artists and who cultivate the next generation of artists, the people who help to inculcate young people with that sense of creativity and that understanding of the world and the ability to see that world through new eyes, that those people are not, in fact, the societal and economic detritus, the first thing to be discarded when times get tough. That those people, in fact, hold the answer to the challenge facing the nation.